Hi, beautiful people. Welcome back. So today we are going to do a recap and a review of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Season 3, Episode 12, titled White Lies and Black Eyes. Woo! Cha. A lot happened in this episode. We are going to try and unpack everything. And then we're going to give our opinion of how we think Heather got that black eye. I can't believe we went through the entire episode not knowing how Heather got her black eye and those scratches on her body. But I have a theory, but we're going to talk about it at the end. But let's get into it. So now we are in San Diego still. This is day 3. We see in the beginning of the episode, we see clips of things that happened throughout the night. Remember, the ladies came back and they got drunk and they were playing around. Everybody went to bed. We thought that was it. And then we saw in black and white at about 4 o'clock in the morning or somewhere around there, we see somebody trying the handle of the door to Heather's room. And she goes to open the door and then it goes black. And that's all we got from the end of the last episode. Now we see where, again, they started off with little clips and things throughout the night. When she opened the door, it was the girls, some of the ladies. Not everybody was in her room, but some of the ladies were in her room. Not quite exactly sure who. I think it was Dan. I think it was Meredith. I think it was Jen. It was also Angie K, if I'm not mistaken. So they show clips of that. And then now we have daylight. We see where the ladies are waking up. We have Jen and Meredith come into the hallway. You could tell they're clearly hungover. Jen didn't get a chance to take off her makeup because Meredith went in the confessional and was like, I was drunk last night, but at least I had the sense about me to take my makeup off. So they laughed about that. And then we see a text coming from Heather to Jen. And she's like, come to my room right away. I'm serious. Jen is like, I'm coming. Jen goes over there. Heather was like, thank God you're here. She's wearing shades, first of all. I mean, yes, you're hungover. Sometimes we do that. You have the pounding headache, so therefore you need something to help black out the bright lights that's coming in. But then she comes in, she talks to Jen for a little bit. Jen is like, you're scaring me. What's going on? We see Heather take off her sunglasses, and she has a whole black eye on her left side. It's almost swollen shut. You could see the discoloration. And Jen is like, what happened? What happened to you? And Heather's like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what. She's like, but we got to come up with a cover story. No, she said, I don't want to get nobody in trouble. So we got to come up with a cover story. Jen is talking about spiders bit her in her eye and all that kind of craziness. And she's like, no, that don't make no sense. So they went back and forth with it for a while. They came up with a cover story and then they're like, let's get Meredith involved. They text Meredith. Meredith comes over, and the look on Meredith's face when Heather removed her sunglasses was priceless. It's like, what the heck happened to you? We don't know what happened. And we don't want to let the rest of the ladies know because we don't want to get nobody in trouble. And Meredith went back and forth with her for a little while. Then she looked dead at her. She's like, yeah, you know what happened. You know exactly what happened. That you're not going to talk about it. So, all right. They're getting dressed for the day. We find out that the ladies are going to go go-kart. They're going to take go-kart sightseeing around the city. And then some of the ladies are going to go rollerblading. And the other ladies are going to a winery. So now everybody's getting dressed. Everybody looks so pretty and flirt. They look really feminine in all of their outfits except for Jen. I'm sorry, Jen. That all black wasn't. No, girl. You look... No. But everybody else looks so very pretty in what they had on. And they're sitting there now waiting to go, discussing about what's going to happen for the day. And I forget what happened or who said what. But Heather took off her sunglasses and everybody freaked out. They're like, oh my God, what happened to your face? And Heather's like, well, we all know what happened, but nobody wants to talk about it. I'm not going to bring it up. Let somebody else bring it up because I don't want to get nobody in trouble. I don't want to implicate anybody. I want them to talk about it themselves. So the ladies went back and forth trying to get her to fess up and to open up about what happened. And she's like, nope, it don't look that bad. We're going to go out. We're still going to have fun. So, all right. They decided they're going to go on their way anyway. So now the first event, they're doing go-kart racing. Some of the ladies had to pair up, others had to be on their own. We have Heather pairing up with Lisa. She said she picked the perfect person to pair up with because she's smart. She said the reason she paired up with Lisa is because she knew that Lisa would not ask any question about what happened to her eye, because all Lisa wanted to do is talk about herself. And Lisa was true to fashion. All she kept talking about herself and her family, about her dress, where she paid $804 for a dress, and John says it looked like an $80 dress, and so forth. So she just kept going on. Heather was like, I picked the perfect person because I know that it's as if I wasn't even there. Lisa's just talking about herself. So while Lisa is talking about herself on the ride, we have the other ladies who are paired up together in their carts, and they're asking each other, what do you think happened to Heather? Like, did she fall down? Did somebody hit her? Everybody had their speculations, of course. But so everyone was speculating exactly what happened. And Whitney went into the confessional and she said she thinks that Jen is the one who hurt Heather. And she's like, when they were in the group at first before they went go-kart, I believe Whitney said, if somebody in the group has hurt you, then that is really bad. She's like, it's to the point where it's making me sick to my stomach and I feel nauseous. And she's like, why won't you tell what's happening to you? So again, Heather was like, nope, I'm not going to be the one. So Whitney went in the confessional. She said that maybe Jen is the one who hit Heather and did not even remember doing it because she was so drunk to the point where, she tends to get violent when she's drunk. So she doesn't even remember. And we've talked about it before, where they say Jen has gotten so drunk that she's blacked out. She's done things. And then the next morning she didn't remember. When they showed the clip last episode, I thought it was Whitney who actually hit Heather, because I'm like, she was so upset at her from the dinner that I'm like, okay, she really didn't resolve anything, because remember Whitney was saying, Heather, you're not hearing me, and she got so upset to the point. So I'm thinking she carried all that energy, all that aggression over to the next morning or later on in the night. So when I left my opinion saying that I think it was Whitney, but come to find out, no, it was not Whitney. So, all right, the ladies kept going with their go-kart sightseeing, and then they came back and gave back the vehicles to the establishment. And now they're like, okay, some of us are going to go rollerblading, others are going to the winery. So we had rollerblading. We had Lisa, Whitney, and Dana go rollerblading, and all the other ladies went to the winery. So now we have two scenes. They're rollerblading on the beach, and we have the ladies at the winery. And then while they were rollerblading, Dana brought it up. I'm like, Dana getting a lot of stuff starting this episode, this season. She's been, since we were introduced to her at the ski lodge, Dana has not stopped instigating. She has gotten everything popping in every episode. I guess they had to get a pot stirrer, and she was the real pot stirrer. Because she's here to stay. She's the bone carrier of this franchise, I'm assuming. So Dana says to Lisa, she's like, I was at somebody's house recently, and then the cameras, they did the playback, and she was like, it was brought up that you are crowdfunding for your company and you have a SEC filing, and they're not understanding why you needed to do that if you have such a successful company. And she was like, so who brought it up? That was Lisa. She's like, who brought it up? She's like, Meredith said. She's like, why is Meredith coming at me? Why is Meredith coming at me? I mean, I already apologized for the hot mic moment. And if you guys remember the hot mic moment where she was ranting and raving last season and talking about how Meredith is loose and she's with everybody in New York, how Meredith's husband, Seth, doesn't have a job, and she was going in. You guys remember that. That's how the season ended. So, and then the season started out where they were not friends, and we found out they weren't good until when they had Sharif's birthday party, and, they tried talking, and then they talked about it, and it's supposedly be squashed. So now Lisa is like, why is Meredith coming from my company? She said initially that kids are off limit, families off limit, business is off limit. And here she is coming for all of those. She's like, well, at least I'm not the one popping pills. Woo, boy, she is. I'm like, okay. That's something that Lisa is throwing out there about Mary. So that's the scene at the beach with the ladies roller skating. And then we have the other ladies at the winery. They go in to ask Heather, why aren't you telling us what happened to you? And Heather is like, I don't want to talk about it. She's like, I don't want to implicate anybody. Let them talk about it themselves. And then they left that there. Somehow the subject of Lisa's crowdfunding for $25,000 came up. The SEC filing came up. And I think Meredith just wanted somebody to open it. I think it was Jen who opened it. And Meredith just took it and ran with it. Of course, you have Angie K sitting there like, oh my God, these ladies are really talking about their friend like that. And she went in the confessional to say that she don't think it's fair that Lisa is not here to defend herself. And you guys are here talking about it. She asked them to clarify because she didn't understand the filing of the SEC and stuff. And she asked them to clarify it. So on their way back to the house on the Sprinter van, they kept talking about it again. Meredith says somebody sent me a text. She brought up the text and showed it to the other ladies. They explained what the filing meant to why it was so bad that, you know, Lisa was actually crowdfunding for a company when she's supposed to have all this money and supposed to be so established. So Angie K was like, explain to me because I don't know what's going on. So cool. They went in, they explained to her a little bit, then they got home. So now we find out that Angie K is hosting a Greek goddess dinner. So everybody's coming back home now to get ready for that dinner. They get dressed. We see everybody getting themselves together. And Angie goes into Lisa's room. And she kind of gave her a heads up of what was going on the van. So we find out, you know, what everybody's dressed as. Lisa is supposed to be dressed as Helen of Troy. She said 2022, Helen of Troy. Lisa is wearing a two-piece, look like a Chanel two-piece. So it's beautiful, but it wasn't giving Greek goddess, girl. It's like you just wanted to wear your brands. You just wanted to wear your fashions. And you were not in the theme. Everybody else was themed up. You didn't come in the theme, but you just rebranded, renamed it, and this is what it is. Accept it or no. Lisa is something else. So everybody was dressed according to their theme, but Lisa was not. So like I said, Angie came in her room and she's like, I'm gonna let you know what happened. This is what happened while we were apart. And Lisa was like, you know what? Enough is freaking enough. I'm gonna address it at dinner. So okay. I left it there. Now we're at the dinner table. Everybody's coming in one by one. You know, they're looking at each other, giving each other compliments and stuff like that. And now the hostess, it's time for the hostess to be there. Everybody's at the table. Where's the hostess? First of all, we had Heather with a evil eye patch. And Whitney was like, how the heck you get that so fast? You know, this just happened to you. Where you get a custom eye patch? And she's like, well, I got it from Jen. So Jen had an eye patch in her stuff. And once they said they got it from Jen, everybody was like, okay, because they already know how Jen packs and she overpacks for everything. So they had that, you know, Jen had that for her, and Meredith and Jen blinged it out for her to put on her eye. Like I said, they sat down there waiting now for Angie K to come. And everybody's noticing that Lisa is tense and basically have an attitude because every question they ask her, she's answering kind of harsh. So Jen is like, what's with you? What's up with the attitude and stuff? And she's waiting now. She's making sure everybody's at the table. We see Angie K comes in. She's being carried by two men on either side of her. She introduces them as Hercules, and I forget who the other Greek god is. I am so sorry. But she introduces them. She's like, okay, these are my gentlemen, thank you. And she excuses none of them. She sits at the table. And we go right into it. I believe it was Whitney who said something. So who said something about the SEC filing? Between Whitney and Dana this season, this is where the conversations have been popping. Whitney has done a lot to get conversation going. And here we have Dana helping her out. So who said something about SEC filing? Everybody's quiet. And Lisa's like, don't be quiet now. Y'all guys had a lot to say before. Now everybody's quiet. It's okay. Heather picks it up right away. She's like, how you know we were talking about you? Did Angie come back and just regurgitate everything that was said on the sprint and tell you? She's like, what? However it happened, I know you guys were talking about me. So she goes in. She's like, I know it was you, Meredith, because you're still upset about the hot mic moment. And I've apologized for that. And yet you're here now talking about my husband doesn't have a job. So Meredith was like, I never said that. You know how Meredith does it. She has that talk like, I never said it. I never said it. And you better not go there with me. So, of course, Lisa mocks her like, yeah, I better not go there with you. And then they got into it. I forget exactly what was said word for word, but they were going in on each other. And they wouldn't stop. She's like, I've apologized 1,000 times for that hot mic moment. And, you're still coming at me. And Meredith was like, no, now you're going in a tirade. Lisa was like, nope, it's not a tirade, it's a rant. And they went back and forth to distinguish whether Lisa's reaction to everything that was being said was a tirade and a rant. And of course, we have Heather, as funny as she is, she comes in and she's like, I can't believe we've come to this, where we're down to arguing and we're deciding whether it was a tirade or a rant. And then she compared some other things that has happened over the season, and she just had me laughing. Between Heather and Angie K talking about Meredith and her feathers, her love of feathers, I was just dying this episode. So now we get kind of serious. The whole thing with Meredith, she finds from what she has mentioned about the things that Lisa has done to her over these past 3 years, she's like, she sums it up to Lisa not being a good friend. And she's really upset about that. She's like, your hot mic moment put my husband's 4,000 employees' livelihood in danger. And that wasn't cool. So, of course, Lisa had a look on her face like, what? So I guess, it registered with her that, oh, wow, I didn't think that what was said would be like that. She's like, I've apologized. Again, she's like, I've apologized. And I don't know what else to do. And I believe Meredith said to her at this point, there's nothing that you can do and that we are where we are. So it got quiet for a while. And then we have Whitney say that, or she asked the question. She's like, we all come of each other. We all have our little clashes or whatever. But at the end of the day, we all know that we love each other. So how can we move forward? And then we have Heather say, well, I think my eye is a metaphor of our relationship. And then she goes in to explain why. Then she goes in the confessional and the producer asks her again, what happened to your eye? She's like, you keep saying you don't remember what happened to your eye. And Heather's like, I never said I don't remember. I never said I don't remember. She's like, I just don't want to talk about it. That's what I keep saying. I don't want to talk about it. Producer's like, why? She said, because remember, isn't that the first rule of the Fight Club? You don't talk about what happens in the Fight Club. I'm like, oh my God. And that is where the episode ended. So in my opinion, I think it was Jen who gave Heather that black eye. Even though Jen was the first person she called over. I think it was Jen who gave her that black eye. Like I mentioned before, Jen tends to get to the point where, and we've seen it a number of times on this show, she gets to the point where she gets drunk, she gets angry, she throws things, she tosses stuff, she hits things, she pushes people. And I think at this point, Heather was probably trying to calm her down like she's always doing to be the best friend that she can for Jen. And Heather probably got an elbow in her eye from Jen snatching her hand away or just trying to push her away. So many times we've seen Jen just go off. And in her drunken state, I think that's probably what happened with Heather. Heather was probably trying to calm her down to get her cool and calm, and then she might have hit her. And because she doesn't want Jen to get in any more trouble, because at this point Jen had not gone to trial yet, or hasn't made a plea deal yet. And I believe if it came out that she was being violent, it might affect her case. So Heather, again, being the true friend that she is, in my opinion, is trying to protect Jen. And I'm hoping that before the reunion come, we find out exactly what happened to her eye. We all know that Jen will not be attending the reunion, as she told us on her Instagram page, where she put out a statement. She will not be at the reunion taping. So it's going to be interesting to see if we don't find out what happened before the reunion taping. I guess we have to wait until the question is asked on stage by Andy. Heather, what happened to your eye, and who did that to your eye? Well, we know Heather didn't do that to herself. She's not a stumbling drunk. You know, we've seen her on the show. She's kept herself sober to make sure that she keeps everybody else safe. We've seen Whitney get sloshed. We saw, they say, white girl wasted. We've seen Jen get sloshed a number of times, but we've never ever seen Heather that drunk. We've seen her where she slurred her words. Yes, you could tell that she is actually tipsy, but we've never seen her get to the point where she's not able to take care of the other ladies and making sure that they're okay. So in my opinion, I think it was Jen who gave Heather that black eye, but it didn't happen on purpose. She didn't do it on purpose, in my opinion. So that's where we are in the recap and the review. Let me see what else happened. Now that we know that Lisa dropped it, that Meredith is out here popping pills. What kind of pills you taking, Meredith? Is Lisa going to tell us more about it in the next season or the next episodes coming up? Lisa went in to explain. She told the whole table about her SEC filing, that she does have other companies doing business as under Vita Tequila, and some of those companies weren't doing well, and she needed the crowdfunding to help to get her company off the ground. So that's the explanation right there about the SEC filing. She's like, you can't come for me no more, not if I put everything out there. So I think Lisa is going to be more transparent. I think she's been transparent enough, but she's going to be more transparent. We have poor Angie K just looking like, explain it all to me. What's happening? I don't know about these things. Girl, welcome to the group. You are here to stay. You have fast become one of my favorite things you say. And as far as the group and its cohesiveness, I think they'll get back there. I think they're all anticipating or just watching to see what's going to happen with Jen. We know that Jen has asked for her sentence to be reduced to 3 years or less, even though in the plea deal, I think it was agreed on for 11 years. Because the reason she wants it reduced, she says, it's because it's affecting her family. Grateful, and this is from an article that I was reading in People magazine. She's saying that it's affecting her family greatly, especially her son, her youngest son, who's having nightmares because of what's going on and because of the raid that happened when it did. So a lot of stuff is going on with the episode, and it coincides with social media and things that's happening. But now I'm heading over to Twitter to see what these ladies are saying about this episode, because it should be really interesting what goes down on Twitter. And if anything is worthy, then I will come back and do another video. But yeah, that is my recap and my reviews. San Diego trip has been eventful. I don't think they've had a dull moment where they relaxed. According to Angie K, there's a lot of chaos in this group. She didn't even know it was happening like this, but now you're in it, girl. You're trying to bring everybody together, and everybody's fighting all around you. But yeah, I digress. And before I go off in a tirade or a rant, let's end it here. So thank you for watching or listening. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, like the video. And if you're listening to this on my podcast, Reality TV Space with Georgia Denise, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, download the episode, and share it. And until next time, be sure to take care of yourselves and your families. Bye-bye.